Hello. You said you'd sleep early tonight again, but here you are, tired and still awake. Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we sabotage the one thing our body craves most? If you've ever felt trapped in this cycle, staying up late for just a little more time, even when it hurts, this video is for you. Because it's not about laziness. It's not about bad habits. It's about something deeper. Something no one ever explained to you, and tonight, you're finally going to understand. So before we begin, tell me, where in the world are you watching this from? I'd love to know who's here, awake with me now. Let's begin. You're lying in bed, phone glowing against your face, scrolling through people you'll never meet and stories you don't really care about. You're tired, so tired your eyes burn, your back aches, your mind feels like it's made of fog. And yet, you don't put the phone down. It's not about the video. It's not about the content. It's about the moment, the silence, the stillness. For the first time today, no one is asking anything of you, and so you stay awake. It's past midnight, and you know you'll hate yourself tomorrow. You know how it ends. With a groggy alarm, a rushing morning, another day that begins before you're ready. But tonight, you don't care. Or maybe you do. Maybe that's why you're doing this in the first place. You had every intention of going to bed early. You told yourself this morning, tonight I'll finally sleep. The hours slipped. Through your fingers, work, obligations, expectations, people needing things from you every minute of the day. You moved from task to task, face polite, voice composed, brain on fire. You did everything right. But where were you in all of that? This isn't just insomnia. This isn't some clinical sleep disorder you can medicate or breathe through. This is something else. This is resistance. This is rebellion. This is you. Clinging to the last corner of your day that still feels like yours. And maybe it's quiet. Maybe no one sees it. But this act, staying up when you know you should sleep, carries weight. It's your way of saying, I exist beyond what I produce. I exist beyond what I give. It's a strange kind of revenge, isn't it? No. Punishing the day by stealing back the night. But here's the twist. The person who suffers is you. You become the victim of your own rebellion. You walk into tomorrow with heavy eyes, sharp thoughts, and a body that drags behind your will. You drink caffeine to feel alive. You fake energy in conversations. You crash by evening and repeat the cycle again, because nothing feels like enough. Not the rest, not the reward, it's not even the revenge. But why do you do this? Why do millions of people, smart and aware and desperate for sleep, deliberately sabotage their nights? Why does sleep, the most natural and necessary thing, start to feel like the enemy? This isn't a question of logic. You know you need to sleep. You've read the articles. You've seen the statistics. You've felt the toll in your own body, and still, you choose wakefulness. You choose the screen, the scroll, the silence, because for a few precious minutes, you are the only person that exists. And even if that moment is shallow, even if it's hurting you, it's yours. Theirs. Something haunting about that, isn't there? The world took your time, and now you're taking it back even if it breaks you. But here's the question that matters most. Does it have to be this way? Do you really need to choose between freedom and rest? Or is it possible that what you're searching for in the glow of that screen, the comfort, the autonomy, the breath you weren't allowed to take all day, could be found in another form? A gentler one, a real one that doesn't leave you feeling emptier the next morning. You're not weak, you're not lazy, you're not broken. You're tired in a way that rest alone can't fix. Tired of being needed, tired of not being seen. Tired of giving so much of yourself that the only time you feel alive is when everyone else is asleep. This isn't procrastination, it's protest. And like any protest, it comes from pain. Pain that your time isn't your own. Pain that your needs. Come last pain that no one told you it's okay to want more than just functioning. So you stay up not because you don't want to sleep, but because you want something more. More life, more peace, more you. But here's the truth hidden underneath it all. Every time you delay your sleep to steal back a few hours of stolen time, You're not getting revenge. You're giving up the very thing that could make tomorrow feel better. It's not easy to stop. It's not just about going to bed earlier. It's about rewriting a pattern. It's built on emotional scarcity. It's about healing a wound that says your time is only valuable when it's given away. And maybe, just maybe, sleep is not surrender. Maybe it's an act of reclaiming, to not revenge. But recovery, not punishment, but permission. Permission to rest. Permission to be. Permission to wake up whole. You tell yourself you'll sleep early tonight. You say it with conviction. Maybe even set a reminder. But when the day ends, when the lights dim and the silence returns, you don't go to bed. Not yet, because something inside you still feels unfinished. You brush your teeth, you turn off the lights, maybe even lie down. But the urge creeps in. A part of you resists closing your eyes. Not because you're not tired, you are. But because this moment is the only part of the day that still belongs to you. No meetings. No conversations. No expectations. Just space. Just quiet. It's just you. And it's in that space that your mind opens. You start scrolling, or watching, or thinking. You don't even know what you're looking for. Just that you're not ready for the day to end. Because if you go to sleep now, it feels like all the hours you endured were just that, endured, not lived. Not enjoyed, not remembered. So you fight against the clock, as if staying up late might somehow make the day count, as if robbing yourself of sleep is the only way to reclaim your time. And then the guilt comes. You look at the time and feel that wave of regret. You know this will hurt tomorrow. You know it already hurts now, but you can't stop, because the alternative, going to bed, giving in, waking up to another cycle that doesn't feel like yours, feels worse. It's not just about sleep. It's about feeling like a ghost inside. Your own life. You move through the day like someone on autopilot, doing, answering, performing, but not choosing. Every hour belongs to someone else. Every decision feels already made. And so when the night arrives, and the world goes quiet, something in you finally breathes, and you'll do anything to keep that breath from ending, even if it means exhaustion, even if it means pain. It's a strange kind of trade, isn't it? You give away your rest to feel alive. You sacrifice your future energy for a present that feels just barely in your control. And maybe no one understands that. Maybe people tell you, just sleep earlier, or just be disciplined. But they don't see the part of you that's not trying to stay awake. You're trying not to disappear, because disappearing is what the day does to you. The truth is, you're not broken. You're trying to survive something invisible, and you're not alone. Millions of people feel this same ache, not just from lack of sleep, but from lack of space, lack of ownership, lack of time that feels sacred and untouched. So what do? How do you fix a sleep problem that isn't really about sleep? That's the promise of this video, not to shame you, not to offer some rigid productivity tip or morning routine to force yourself into, but to help you see what's really happening inside your mind, to understand why the pull to stay awake feels so strong, to show you that your need for control, for freedom, for emotional safety, is real, and that there are better ways to honor those needs, ways that don't hurt. You the next morning, you don't need another person telling you to just go to bed. You need someone to say, I get it. I understand the grief you feel. When another day slips away without joy, I know the craving for stillness, the need to carve out even 10 minutes that feel yours. And I know the pain of waking up angry with yourself, swearing you'll change. It's only to do it again. But what if you didn't have to choose? What if you could keep that sense of freedom, that sacred space where your nervous system softens without paying for it with exhaustion? What if there was a way to build a rhythm that gives you both? That's what you'll start to learn here, because this pattern doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. Human trying to make sense of a world that asks too much and gives too little time to simply be. And once you stop blaming yourself, once you realize that this nightly rebellion is a signal, not a flaw, you can begin to respond with compassion instead of punishment. Not by forcing yourself to sleep, but by listening to what your exhaustion is really trying to say. And when you do, you begin to rest, not just in body, but in soul, Because real rest isn't the absence of movement, it's the presence of safety. It's knowing you don't have to stay up late to feel alive. It's building a life where the day too can belong to you, and that kind of life starts with understanding, with naming the cycle, and with the quiet, powerful choice to create a new rhythm, one that includes you. Most people think sleep is a matter of discipline, as if it were simple math. Go to bed earlier, wake up refreshed, live better. They see your late-night habits and assume you're just lazy, unmotivated, undisciplined. But what if the story is deeper than that? What if what looks like self-sabotage is actually a form of psychological survival? There's a term that's quietly gained attention among psychologists: revenge bedtime, procrastination. It sounds dramatic, even comical, but its roots are serious. This behavior was first observed in cultures with high pressure, long work hours, and minimal personal time. People who spent their days performing for others, locked into routines not of their own choosing, began delaying bedtime. Not because they weren't tired, but because they were starving for freedom. Sleep became a symbol of surrender, and staying awake even in quiet, meaningless ways became a rebellion. You see, the human nervous system doesn't just need rest, it needs a sense of agency, a belief that you are in control of your own time, even if it's just for an hour. But in modern life, especially for those constantly overworked, overstimulated, and under-recognized, that agency is stripped away. The day becomes a checklist. Wake, rush, perform, deliver, comply. You're a body in motion, always reacting to external demands, emails, texts, voices, obligations. So when the world finally stops demanding and you're alone in a dark room with your thoughts, there's a quiet shift. The stillness feels sacred, and your brain, craving autonomy, craves to stay in that stillness, even if it means self-harm. And here's the paradox. No one talks about, even though your body is tired, your brain is wired. Because autonomy, even if small, even if illusory, feels more urgent than rest. This is where the conflict begins. Biologically, you need sleep. Emotionally, you need ownership of your time. But you only get one, so you pick the one that gives you control, even if it costs you everything else. And the irony: the very thing you're trying to recover, clarity, energy, peace, is lost the longer you delay rest. But you're not irrational. You're responding to a system that taught you your worth is in your output. A society that rewards busyness, but ignores emotional depletion. A routine that fills every hour with noise and calls it productivity. No one ever told you that the need to feel in charge of your life could become so desperate that it would override your need to sleep. No one ever taught you how trauma, burnout, or emotional neglect can twist your circadian rhythm into a battlefield. And because of that silence, because no one warned you, you internalized the struggle. You began to believe you were the problem. But let's be clear. This is not just a bad habit. This is a psychological wound with a behavioral symptom, and it makes perfect sense. The mind seeks balance. When your days are consumed by things you didn't choose, your nights become the only place left to recover a sense of self. It doesn't matter that you're tired. What matters to your brain is that you feel free, even if just for an hour, even if it means doom scrolling through nothing, even if it means tomorrow will hurt. Because in that moment, you belong to yourself, and that, more than sleep, is what you crave. Now, here's something most people don't know. This is not a disorder. It's not a chemical imbalance or a clinical dysfunction. It's an emotional adaptation. It's what happens when your life doesn't give you enough space to simply be, so your brain carves out space in the only window left, the dark. Silent hours after everyone else has gone to bed, but the cost is high. Your memory falters, your mood sinks, your energy crashes, and worst of all, the autonomy you fought for becomes the thing that breaks you. And the saddest part, you may not even know it's happening. You may think you just like staying up late, or that you're not a morning person, when in truth, you're caught in a hidden loop of psychological compensation, a loop that no one taught you how to exit. Because no one told you that sleep isn't just. It's biological, it's emotional, it's symbolic. It's a conversation between your body and your sense of safety. And if you've gone too long without feeling in control, if you've gone too long without feeling seen or heard or valued, then of course your brain resists the day ending, because if the day ends, it means you lost again. It means time won. It means life passed without space for you in it. So you stay awake, not to punish yourself, but to finally feel something that was missing. And once you see this, once you understand the why behind the behavior, the entire narrative shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop trying to force yourself into another rigid bedtime routine. You stop seeing sleep as a chore, and you start to see it as what it truly is, a reflection of your relationship with time, with self-worth, with control. And that's something no one ever told you until now. Let's follow what happens when you delay your sleep. Not just once, but night after night. You start with a body. It's already overstimulated. You've been in motion all day, responding, adjusting, reacting. You haven't had a moment of true stillness. And by the time the sun sets, you're running on fumes and frustration. And yet, you can't bring yourself to stop, because stopping means silence. And silence means thinking. And thinking means remembering. Everything you've ignored just to keep moving, so you keep going, not outwardly, not productively, but internally. You enter that quiet rebellion mode, the soft war between fatigue and freedom. At first, it doesn't feel harmful. You just want to scroll a little, watch one more episode, maybe answer that message you didn't have time for earlier. Maybe just sit and exist without anyone expecting anything from you. But while your mind is trying to stretch the night into something meaningful, your body begins to collapse. Internally, your system is begging for rest. Your body temperature is dropping. Melatonin is rising, and every cell in your being is preparing to shut down, to repair, to rebuild. But you override it subtly, constantly. With light, with noise, with stimulation, the screen lights up your eyes. Your dopamine spikes. Your cortisol flickers, and your body gets confused. Are we resting, or are we starting something new? This confusion doesn't just make it harder to fall asleep, it fragments the biological rhythm your body depends on. And here's what happens when that rhythm breaks. Your first cycles of sleep, the ones responsible for deep, restorative recovery, are delayed. Your core temperature doesn't drop the way it should. Your heart rate doesn't settle, you're nervous. System stays alert, not enough to keep you awake, but just enough to keep your sleep shallow. You fall asleep eventually, but it's not the kind of sleep your brain craves. It's patchy, incomplete, sleep disturbed. You may not remember waking up, but your brain does. Your body stays in a kind of low-grade survival mode, hovering just above true rest, preparing to defend itself from threats that aren't even there. And this becomes your new baseline. Every night you delay your bedtime, sequence shifts again, your sleep onset gets later. Your REM stages, the ones responsible for emotional processing, memory consolidation, and creativity, are pushed into the early morning, where they're more likely to be interrupted by your alarm. You wake up feeling like you never truly slept, because in many ways, you didn't. Your mind was never allowed to descend into the full depth of recovery. Your body never reached the restorative. It's the trough it needed. You were unconscious, but you were not at peace. And yet, despite the exhaustion, you do it again, because your brain has linked that late night ritual with comfort, with safety, with control. You're not addicted to staying up late. You're addicted to what it represents, and that association becomes hardwired. Every time you scroll at 1 a.m., your brain reinforces the idea. This is our time. This is when we're free. And every time you try to sleep earlier, your body resists. Not because it doesn't want rest, but because it's now programmed to expect wakefulness during those hours. You've trained your rhythm to disobey you, and now it's obeying the wrong cues. This is what psychologists call conditioned. Arousal, Your bed, your room, your evening, instead of triggering sleep, now trigger alertness. Your mind believes the night is for catching up, for decompressing, for doing everything you didn't get to do during the day, and your biology pays the price. Your immune system weakens. Your blood sugar becomes erratic. Your cortisol stays elevated longer into the night, and your melatonin release becomes unpredictable, making it harder and harder to fall asleep. Even when you want to, you start chasing rest. Instead of receiving it, you wake up behind, and you go to bed behind, and the gap between your needs and your reality grows wider by the day. But here's the most insidious part. You don't even realize it's happening. You convince yourself you're just a night owl. You rationalize it as your only time. You push through the fatigue and call it resilience. But the truth is, your system is unraveling. And the more nights you spend fighting sleep, the harder it becomes to surrender to it, even when you finally try. Because your body doesn't respond to intention, it responds to rhythm. And if that rhythm has been trained to stay awake at 1:30 a.m., if it's been exposed to light and noise and stimulation at the exact moment it was supposed to descend into deep recovery, then no amount of willpower will undo that overnight. It takes time. It takes retraining. And above all, it takes understanding what you're really up against. Because this isn't just, it's about behavior, it's about biology. It's about a system that's lost its cues. It's about a mind that's been told sleep is surrender, when in truth, it's salvation. And until you begin to see your bedtime not as the end of your day, but as the beginning of your restoration, you'll keep dragging yourself through mornings with a body that was never allowed to fully rest. And that is not the life you deserve. Here's the part no one ever says out loud. You're not avoiding sleep. You're avoiding powerlessness. The moment your head hits the pillow, everything slows down. Not just your body, your distractions, your defenses, and in that stillness, your brain starts whispering all the things you didn't have time to feel, all the conversations you replay, all the choices you regret, all the parts of yourself that didn't get to exist while you were performing for everyone else. Because let's be honest, during the day, you wear 100 versions of yourself. You smile when you're tired. You nod when you disagree. You say yes when you're full of no. You shrink, adapt, deliver. So when the night comes, there's finally no one to impress, no one to please, you stay awake. Not because you're fighting sleep, but because you're fighting the feeling of disappearing. Sleep feels like it feels like the final theft, one more thing being taken from you. Not just time, but you. But what if that's a lie? What if sleep isn't the enemy of your freedom, but the gateway to it? Here's the truth hidden beneath your late-night resistance. Your body isn't asking you to give something up. It's asking you to receive something. Something you've been denied all day. Something you've maybe denied yourself for years. Stillness, repair. Return to wholeness. Because that's what real sleep is. It's not a pause, not a shutdown, but a recalibration of everything. Your sleep is not passive. It's not the absence of life. It's the process by which your brain sorts what to keep and what to let go. It's where your body heals what was broken, stores what was important, and discards what no longer serves you. It's not surrender, it's sovereignty. And yet, somewhere along the way, you were taught the opposite. You were taught that productivity is worth. That output is identity. That rest is weakness. That slowing down means falling behind. So of course you resist. Of course your body tenses when it's time to stop. Because stopping it's dangerous in a world that only rewards motion. But what if you stopped seeing sleep as the end of your day and started seeing it as the beginning of your recovery? Not just from physical tiredness, but from emotional depletion, from overstimulation, from the unspoken exhaustion of always being on. And here's the plot twist that changes everything. You don't sabotage your sleep because you're broken. You sabotage your sleep because your soul is trying to speak, and nighttime is the only time it's quiet enough to be heard. That screen you stare at in bed, it's not entertainment. It's a shield, a way to avoid facing the ache that lives in the quiet, Because the quiet reminds you of what you missed, what you wanted, who you were. Before the world demanded so much of you, but it doesn't have. To stay that way, the key isn't forcing yourself to sleep, it's redefining what sleep means to you. It's no longer the thing that steals your freedom, it becomes the thing that gives it back. Because when you allow yourself to rest, you're not just restoring your energy, you're telling your nervous system, you are safe now. You don't have to keep fighting. And that moment, that one small shift, is what begins to break the cycle. You stop staying up to reclaim your life, because now you're living a life that includes space for you. You stop needing revenge at midnight, because your day no longer feels like a prison. You stop delaying sleep, because sleep no longer feels like loss. It feels like return to your breath, to your body, to a version of yourself that doesn't just survive the day, but feels whole by the end of it. That is the power you've had all along, not in staying awake, but in allowing yourself to rest without guilt, without fear, without having to earn it, because rest is not a reward, it's a right, and now you remember that. Change doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be a 5 a.m. routine or a list of cold turkey habits that shame you into compliance. Real change, the kind that lasts, begins with one quiet decision. I want my nights to feel safe again, and the truth is, your body is waiting for that signal. It's not fighting you. It's simply responding to the messages you've sent it, night after night. Now, you're going to send new ones, so let's begin. Tonight, you don't need to fix everything. You just need to start with one gentle shift. One action that tells your nervous system, this time, we're doing it differently. And that starts long before your head hits the pillow. About 2 hours before your usual bedtime. Take a moment. Pause what you're doing. Stand by a window. Feel the air on your skin. Notice the way the light has softened. How the sounds of the world begin to slow. Tell your body in silence if you must, we're closing today. That one moment creates a break in the cycle. You're no longer drifting into the night unconsciously. You're guiding yourself there. With intention now, look at your evenings not as an afterthought, but as a sanctuary. Ask yourself, what part of me am I trying to comfort by staying awake? If it's a desire for freedom, give yourself 20 minutes of uninterrupted you time. Before your usual bedtime ritual, make it intentional. Sit on the floor and do nothing. Put on a song you loved as a child. Write a single sentence about your day, not to be productive, but to feel present, because the more you try to steal time through revenge, the more exhausted you become. But when you gift yourself time intentionally, the body no longer feels the need to rebel. Next, create a ritual of closure. Not a checklist, not a performance, just a consistent, quiet rhythm that tells your brain, we are safe to rest now. It could be lighting a candle, turning off one lamp at a time, changing into soft clothes with real presence, drinking something warm, not for digestion, but for ceremony. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Now comes the light, or rather, the lack of it. Screens overhead LEDs, even that glowing kitchen light, they all signal your brain to stay awake. So try this. 90 minutes before bed, switch to warm light only. If you can, avoid screens completely. But if not, please switch your phone to night mode, lower the brightness, and stop scrolling. Scrolling isn't resting. It's dissociation, and your brain knows the difference instead of the feed. Feed your senses. Dim light, low sound, soft fabric, warm skin. That's what tells your nervous system the performance is over. You're allowed to return to yourself. Next, the bed itself. For so many people caught in the revenge sleep cycle, the bed has become a battlefield. It's where they scroll, stress, spiral. So your job now is to reclaim that space as sacred. That means using your bed only for sleep. No doom scrolling, no checking emails, no lying awake in worry. If you can't sleep, get up, sit in a chair, breathe, then try again. Let your body relearn the bed as a place of restoration, not rumination. And about the actual time you go to bed, forget perfection. Forget 10 p.m. or 8 full hours. Start by shifting. It's just 15 to 30 minutes earlier and hold it steady. Same time. It's every night. Even on weekends, it's the consistency that retrains your rhythm, not the quantity. Sleep is not about hitting a number. It's about ending your day in alignment with your biology. Now here's the most important part. When the resistance comes, and it will, don't fight it. When your hand reaches for the phone, when your thoughts say just one more video, pause. Place your hand on your chest. Feel the breath, and say this to yourself. I've done enough. I've been enough. It's safe to rest. Say it even if you don't believe it yet, because that is the true root of revenge. Bedtime procrastination, this deep, unmet need to feel enough before the day ends. You've been trying to earn that feeling through extra hours awake. But what if rest itself is the proof? You are enough. Even when the day is unfinished, even when the inbox is full, even when no one saw what you carried, you do not have to stay up late. To reclaim yourself, you are already yours. So tonight, reclaim rest, not as punishment, not as retreat, but as revolution. Because the most radical thing you can do in a world that demands your exhaustion is to close your eyes and finally let go. You don't need to fight anymore, not with your schedule, not with your thoughts, not with your body. Begging for rest while your mind begs for more time, for too long. You believed rest was something you had to earn. You postponed it, punished it, twisted it into something painful, when all it ever wanted was to hold you quietly, completely, without demanding anything in return. Sleep isn't the end of your freedom. It's the beginning of your healing. When you close your eyes tonight, you are not giving up on the day. You are choosing to carry yourself into tomorrow with more softness, more clarity, more strength. You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined. You are tired of being at war with your own time. So let this be the first night you let the day go without guilt. Let this be the first time you lay down not to escape, but to return to your breath, to your rhythm, to the part of you that doesn't need to perform or explain, only exist. Because when you wake up from that kind of sleep, you don't rise out of habit, you rise out of wholeness, and that version of you. That's the one the world's been waiting for. If this message found you in the middle of another late night, I hope it helped you see yourself with more compassion. You're not broken. You're just tired, in ways that sleep alone hasn't been allowed to heal, but that can change. Starting. Tonight, not by force, but by kindness, not by control, by rhythm. If you've ever felt stuck in this cycle, I'd love to hear your story. Tell me in the comments what keeps you awake, and what are you hoping to find in your rest? And if this video brought you clarity, consider subscribing. There's more waiting here for you. Gentle reminders that you're not alone in this. Good night, whenever you're ready. And may sleep feel like coming home again.